Connor Walsh, an experienced pilot and explorer, was accustomed to the cold, sterile interiors of spaceships and the infinite void of space. However, nothing could have prepared him for the breathtaking beauty of the planet Elysium. His journey began like any other routine mission, checking the cargo, calibrating the instruments, and ensuring the ship's systems were functioning properly. But fate had different plans. A sudden malfunction in the navigation system sent him spiraling out of control, and despite his best efforts, Connor crash-landed on an uncharted planet. As he emerged from the wreckage, his senses were overwhelmed by the vibrant colors and intoxicating sense of an alien world. The sky was a serene shade of lavender, dotted with twin suns that bathed the landscape in a warm, golden hue. Lush, emerald forests stretched as far as the eye could see, interspersed with crystal-clear lakes that sparkled like sapphires under the light. The air was crisp and fragrant, filled with the scent of exotic flowers and fresh earth. Connor took a deep breath, feeling a sense of calm wash over him, a stark contrast to the chaos of the crash. He surveyed the damage to his ship: twisted metal, shattered glass, and a faint trail of smoke rising into the sky. It was clear that repairing it would not be an easy task. As he assessed his surroundings, a sense of unease began to creep in. He was alone, stranded on an unknown planet with no immediate means of communication or escape. But Connor was not alone for long. As he ventured further from the wreckage, he heard a soft rustling in the foliage nearby. Instinctively, he reached for his sidearm, only to find a group of figures emerging from the underbrush. They were unlike any beings he had ever encountered. Standing tall and graceful, the women of Elysium possessed an ethereal beauty that left him breathless. Their skin ranged in shades from porcelain to sun-kissed bronze, their hair flowing like rivers of gold, silver, and raven black. Their eyes, large and expressive, held a wisdom that seemed to transcend time. One of the women stepped forward, her movements fluid and elegant. She wore a flowing gown made of a delicate, iridescent material that shimmered in the sunlight. Her gaze was warm and welcoming, her voice soft and melodic. "Welcome, traveler," she said, her words resonating in a language that Connor miraculously understood. "You are on Elysium, our home. We sensed your arrival and have come to offer our assistance." Connor, still dazed from the crash and overwhelmed by the sheer beauty of the planet and its inhabitants, struggled to find his voice. "Thank you," he finally managed to say. "My name is Connor Walsh. I didn't intend to land here. My ship, it's badly damaged." The woman nodded, her expression understanding. "We know, we have seen many visitors over the years, each one brought here by different circumstances. I am Azora, one of the guardians of Elysium. Please come with us. We will take you to our village, where you can rest and recover." With little choice, Connor followed Azora and the other women through the verdant forest. As they walked, he noticed the harmonious relationship between the inhabitants and their environment. The women moved with a natural grace, their presence seemingly unnoticed by the vibrant wildlife that surrounded them. Birds of iridescent plumage chirped melodiously, and small, curious creatures peeked out from the foliage, observing the newcomer with inquisitive eyes. The journey to the village was mesmerizing. They passed through meadows filled with wildflowers in every conceivable color, their petals dancing in the gentle breeze. The air was alive with the hum of insects and the distant roar of waterfalls. As they reached a clearing, Connor saw the village nestled at the edge of a serene lake. The houses were crafted from natural materials, blending seamlessly with the landscape. Each structure was unique, adorned with intricate carvings and surrounded by lush gardens. Upon arrival, Connor was led to a spacious dwelling, where he was greeted by more of the village's inhabitants. They welcomed him with open arms, offering food, drink, and a place to rest. The food was unlike anything he had ever tasted, a feast of fresh fruits, vegetables, and delicacies prepared with care and precision. The flavors were vibrant and complex, a testament to the rich biodiversity of the planet. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the village, Azora returned to check on Connor. She found him seated by the lake, lost in thought. "How are you feeling?" she asked, her voice gentle. Connor looked up, a mixture of awe and confusion in his eyes. "This place, it's incredible. It's like a paradise. But I can't stay here forever. I need to find a way to repair my ship and return to Earth." Azora smiled, her expression tinged with sadness. "Many who come here feel the same way at first, but Elysium has a way of revealing its secrets in time. We have a unique way of life, one that may seem strange to outsiders. There is something you should know, a tradition that has been upheld for generations." Connor's curiosity was piqued. What kind of tradition? Azora hesitated, choosing her words carefully. Elysium is a place of harmony and balance. We believe in the sanctity of life and the importance of preserving our culture. One of our customs is that any visitor who wishes to stay must contribute to the continuation of our people. It is a deeply rooted belief that has helped maintain the peace and prosperity of our community. The weight of her words hung in the air, and Connor felt a chill run down his spine. He understood what she meant, but the implications were daunting. You mean, I would have to? Azora nodded. In order to remain in Elysium, a visitor must bond with one of our women, impregnate her to perpetuate our lineage, and become part of our society. It is a sacred ritual that both parties willingly participate in. We are not forcing anyone, but it is the only way to truly belong here. Connor's mind raced. The thought of staying on this idyllic planet was tempting, but it came with a price. He had always been a wanderer, never staying in one place for long. The idea of settling down, especially under such unique circumstances, was both thrilling and terrifying. Azora sensed his turmoil and placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Take your time to think it over. There is no rush. We will help you in any way we can, whether you choose to stay or leave. For now, rest and recover. You have been through a lot. Connor nodded, grateful for her understanding. As the night fell and the stars began to twinkle in the lavender sky, he found himself drawn to the tranquility of the planet. Elysium was unlike any place he had ever known, a haven of peace and beauty. But the choice he faced was monumental. Torn between his duty as a pilot and his growing fascination with this new world, Connor knew he had a difficult decision ahead. As he lay down on the soft, comfortable bed provided by his hosts, Connor's thoughts were filled with questions. Could he really leave his old life behind and start anew on this remote planet? The women of Elysium had shown him kindness and hospitality, but the cultural rule they lived by was a significant commitment. He wondered about the lives of these women, their stories, and the potential future that awaited him here. Sleep came slowly, but when it did, it was filled with vivid dreams of the planet's landscapes and the faces of the women he had met. Connor knew that the next few days would be crucial in determining his fate. The serene beauty of Elysium had captivated him, but it was the warmth and depth of its inhabitants that truly held the potential to change his life. And so, under the watchful gaze of the twin suns in the starlit sky, Connor Walsh began to contemplate a future that was as uncertain as it was promising. The journey had only just begun, and the path ahead was filled with possibilities. The morning sun rose over Elysium, casting a gentle light across the village and illuminating the tranquil landscape. Connor awoke to the sound of birds singing outside his window, a soothing melody that filled the air. He stretched and sat up, still coming to terms with the events of the previous day. The reality of his situation settled in, bringing with it a mix of emotions. The planet's beauty was undeniable, but the implications of staying weighed heavily on his mind. Determined to gather his thoughts and learn more about the planet, Connor decided to explore the village. As he stepped outside, the crisp morning air greeted him, and the sight of the village in daylight took his breath away. The houses, crafted from natural materials, blended seamlessly with the surrounding environment. Flowers of every color adorned the pathways, their petals glistening with dew. The villagers moved about with a serene grace, their expressions peaceful and content. Connor was soon approached by Azora, the woman who had welcomed him the day before. She was as captivating as he remembered, her long silver hair cascading down her back like a waterfall. Her eyes, a striking shade of turquoise, held a depth that drew him in. She wore a simple yet elegant gown, the fabric shimmering in the sunlight. "Good morning, Connor," she greeted him with a warm smile. "I trust you slept well." "Good morning," Azora Connor replied, returning her smile. "I did, thank you. This place is incredible. It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Azora nodded, her gaze sweeping across the village. Elysium is a special place, one that has remained untouched by the chaos of the outside world. We value peace and harmony above all else, and we strive to live in balance with nature. As they walked through the village, Azora explained more about the planet's unique culture and history. She spoke of the ancient traditions that had shaped their society, the importance of maintaining a deep connection with the natural world, and the role each villager played in preserving the delicate balance of their ecosystem. Connor listened intently, fascinated by the wisdom and knowledge she possessed. They soon reached a lush meadow, filled with wildflowers that swayed gently in the breeze. The air was fragrant with the scent of blossoms, and the distant sound of a waterfall added to the serene atmosphere. Azora led Connor to a large, flat rock overlooking the meadow, and they sat down, the warmth of the sun on their faces. "Tell me about yourself," Connor, Azora said, turning to him with a curious expression. "What brought you here, and what kind of life did you lead before arriving on Elysium?" Connor hesitated for a moment, unsure of how much to reveal, but there was something about Azora's presence that put him at ease, and he found himself opening up to her. He spoke of his career as a pilot, his love for exploration, and the countless missions that had taken him to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. He shared stories of the planets he had visited, the challenges he had faced, and the loneliness that often accompanied his solitary journeys. Azora listened with rapt attention, her eyes never leaving his face. "You have seen and experienced so much," she remarked, her voice filled with admiration. "It must be both exhilarating and isolating, traveling through the stars with no one to share it with." Connor nodded, a hint of sadness in his eyes. "It is. I love what I do, but it's not an easy life. There's always a part of me that feels disconnected, like I'm searching for something but never quite finding it." Azora placed a gentle hand on his arm, her touch comforting. "Perhaps that is why you were brought here," she suggested softly. "Elysium has a way of revealing what we truly seek, even if we don't realize it ourselves." The sincerity in her words struck a chord with Connor, and he felt a strange sense of clarity. He had always been driven by a desire to explore, to uncover the unknown. But now, faced with the prospect of a life on Elysium, he wondered if what he truly sought was not adventure, but a sense of belonging. As they continued their conversation, Connor found himself increasingly drawn to Azora. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, wise, compassionate, and deeply attuned to the world around her. Her knowledge of Elysium's flora and fauna was vast, and she spoke with reverence about the planet's natural wonders. She explained the symbiotic relationships between the various species, the importance of conservation, and the spiritual beliefs that guided their way of life. "Elysium is not just our home," Azora said, her voice filled with emotion. "It is a living entity, a part of us as much as we are a part of it. We believe that everything is interconnected, that every action has a ripple effect on the world around us. It is our duty to protect and nurture this land, to live in harmony with it." Connor was captivated by her words. He had always viewed nature as something to be studied and explored, but Azora's perspective was different, more intimate and profound. She spoke of the planet as if it were a beloved friend, a guardian that had watched over them for generations. As the day wore on, Azora offered to show Connor more of the planet's wonders. They walked along a winding path that led to a hidden grove, where a majestic waterfall cascaded into a crystal-clear pool. The water sparkled like diamonds, reflecting the vibrant colors of the surrounding foliage. Azora explained that the waterfall was a sacred site, believed to be a source of life and energy for the planet. Connor felt a deep sense of peace as he stood by the water's edge, the sound of the rushing water soothing his mind. Azora knelt beside the pool, her fingers gently touching the surface. She closed her eyes, and for a moment it seemed as though she was communing with the planet itself. "This place is special," Azora murmured, her eyes still closed. "It holds the memories of our ancestors, the wisdom of ages past. When we are troubled or seeking guidance, we come here to meditate and find clarity." Connor watched her in awe, marveling at the depth of her connection to the land. He felt a sudden urge to reach out, to touch the water and feel its cool embrace. As he did, a strange sensation washed over him, a sense of unity, of being a part of something greater than himself. It was a feeling he had never experienced before, and it left him both exhilarated and humbled. For the rest of the day, Azora continued to share the mysteries of Elysium with Connor. She led him through ancient forests, where towering trees reached towards the sky, their leaves whispering secrets in the wind. They explored hidden caves, adorned with luminescent crystals that glowed softly in the dim light. She spoke of the planet's unique geology, the minerals and resources that made it so rich and vibrant. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, they returned to the village. The villagers were gathered around a large fire, sharing stories and songs. The atmosphere was warm and inviting, filled with laughter and camaraderie. Azora introduced Connor to more of her people, each one welcoming him with open arms. They were curious about his life and eager to share their own experiences. Connor felt a growing sense of belonging, a feeling he hadn't expected to find on this remote planet. The villagers' kindness and acceptance were genuine, and he found himself relaxing in their company. He listened to their stories, learning about their lives, their hopes, and their dreams. It was a world so different from his own, yet there was a sense of familiarity in their shared humanity. As the night wore on, Azora led Connor to a quiet spot away from the fire. The stars above shone brightly, and the twin moons cast a soft glow over the landscape. They sat in silence for a while, the only sound the gentle rustling of leaves in the breeze. "Today has been incredible," Connor finally said, breaking the silence. "I've learned so much about this place, about your people. It's all so different from what I'm used to, but it's also comforting in a way." Azora smiled, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Elysium has a way of touching the soul, of revealing truths we may not even know we're seeking. I'm glad you could experience it, even if just for a day." Connor nodded, his thoughts racing. The beauty of the planet, the wisdom of its inhabitants, and the deep connection they shared with the land, all of it had left a profound impact on him. But with that realization came a new sense of uncertainty. The choice he faced was more complex than he had imagined. The prospect of staying on Elysium was both enticing and daunting, and he knew that the decision would change his life forever. As they sat together under the starry sky, Connor felt a strange mix of emotions: gratitude, wonder, and a hint of fear. The path ahead was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, he felt a glimmer of hope. Elysium had shown him a different way of life, one filled with peace, harmony, and love, and in that moment, he knew that whatever choice he made, it would be guided by the newfound wisdom he had gained on this extraordinary planet. With a deep breath, Connor looked at Azora, feeling a deep connection with her. "Thank you for today," he said softly. "You've given me a lot to think about." Azora smiled, her expression warm and understanding. "Take your time, Connor. The answers will come when you're ready, and know that whatever you decide, you will always have a place here." As they stood to leave, Connor felt a sense of peace wash over him. The journey ahead was still uncertain, but he knew that he had found something precious on Elysium: a sense of belonging, a connection to a world unlike any other, and the beginning of something truly special with Azora. As they walked back to the village, the stars above guiding their way, Connor couldn't help but feel that he was on the brink of a new chapter in his life. One filled with possibilities, challenges, and perhaps a love that transcended the boundaries of space and time. The next morning, the village was abuzz with activity. The gentle hum of conversation, the sound of laughter, and the clatter of daily chores filled the air. Connor Walsh awoke feeling more rested than he had in a long time. The previous day's exploration with Azora had left him with a newfound appreciation for Elysium's beauty and the depth of its culture. Yet, as he rose and prepared to face the day, he couldn't shake the lingering questions about his place on this idyllic planet. As Connor stepped outside, the sunlight greeted him warmly. The air was fresh, carrying the subtle fragrance of blooming flowers. He found himself wandering through the village, observing the daily life of its inhabitants. The women of Elysium moved with a graceful ease, their faces radiant with contentment. There was a palpable sense of community here, a bond that transcended the individual. Lost in thought, Connor nearly collided with a woman carrying a basket of vibrant fruits. She laughed, her voice like a melody, and Connor looked up to meet her eyes. She was stunning, with a cascade of deep auburn hair that framed her delicate features. Her eyes were a striking shade of violet, filled with warmth and a hint of mischief. She wore a flowing dress that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight, its colors mirroring the hues of the fruits she carried. "Forgive me," Connor stammered, stepping back. "I wasn't paying attention." The woman smiled, her eyes twinkling. "No harm done," she replied. "I'm Violetta. You must be Connor, our unexpected guest." Connor nodded, still taken aback by her beauty and the ease with which she spoke. "That's right. It's nice to meet you, Violetta." Violetta set the basket down and offered him a piece of fruit. "Would you like to try a Calarian? It's one of our local delicacies." Connor accepted the offering, biting into the fruit's tender flesh. It was sweet and tangy, bursting with flavors he'd never tasted before. He couldn't help but smile, the taste a pleasant surprise. "This is amazing," he said, savoring the moment. "I've never had anything like it." Violetta chuckled, a soft, melodic sound. "I'm glad you like it. Elysium has many delights, both culinary and otherwise. If you're interested, I could show you around. There's so much more to see beyond the village. Connor hesitated for a moment, then nodded. I'd like that. Yesterday Azora showed me some of the natural wonders, but I'd love to see more. With a nod of agreement, Violetta led him away from the village and into the surrounding forest. As they walked, she spoke about the planet's vibrant arts and culture. Connor learned that Violetta was not only an artist but also a musician and dancer. Her passion for the creative arts was palpable, and it intrigued him. Their path took them through a dense forest, the canopy overhead filtering the sunlight into soft, golden beams. Violetta spoke of the various artistic traditions of Elysium, from music and dance to painting and sculpture. She explained that art was not just a pastime for the people of Elysium but a vital part of their identity and expression. On Elysium, Violetta said, her voice filled with reverence, we believe that art is a reflection of the soul. It's a way for us to connect with each other and the world around us. Every song, every painting, every dance tells a story, a piece of our history, our emotions, our dreams. Connor listened intently, fascinated by her perspective. As someone who had spent most of his life in the sterile confines of spaceships and space stations, the idea of such deep emotional expression was both foreign and captivating. He found himself drawn to Violetta's passion, her zest for life, and the way she seemed to embody the very spirit of Elysium. They eventually arrived at a clearing, where a large, open-air amphitheater stood. The structure was made of smooth, white stone, with seats carved into the natural rock. At the center was a raised platform, surrounded by vibrant flowers and lush greenery. It was a place of beauty and tranquility, a stark contrast to the cold, mechanical environments Connor was used to. Violetta led him to the center of the amphitheater, where she stood with a serene smile. This is the heart of Elysium, she explained. It's where we gather for performances, ceremonies, and celebrations. It's a place of unity, where we come together to share our talents and stories. Connor looked around, taking in the serene beauty of the place. It's incredible, he said, his voice filled with awe. I've never seen anything like it. Violetta's eyes sparkled with pride. It's one of my favorite places on the planet. There's something magical about performing here, under the open sky, surrounded by nature. It's a reminder of our connection to the world around us. With a graceful movement, Violetta extended her hand toward Connor. Would you like to dance, she asked, a playful smile on her lips. Connor hesitated, caught off guard by the invitation. I don't know how to dance, he admitted, feeling a bit embarrassed. Violetta laughed, a sound that was both joyful and reassuring. It's not about knowing how, Connor. It's about feeling the music, letting go, and expressing yourself. Just follow my lead. With that, she began to hum a soft melody, swaying gently to the rhythm. Connor watched, mesmerized by the fluidity of her movements. There was a grace to her dance, a natural beauty that seemed to flow from within. Slowly, he reached out and took her hand, letting her guide him. At first, his movements were awkward, uncertain, but Violetta's touch was gentle and encouraging. She led him through the steps, her smile never fading. Gradually, Connor began to relax, allowing himself to get lost in the moment. The world around them seemed to fade away, leaving only the two of them, connected by the music and the dance. As they moved together, Connor felt a warmth spread through him, a sense of freedom and joy he hadn't experienced in a long time. It was as if all the worries and uncertainties that had plagued him melted away, leaving only the pure, simple pleasure of the dance. Violetta's laughter rang out, a melody that filled the air and lifted his spirits. When the dance finally ended, they stood in the center of the amphitheater, breathless and exhilarated. Connor felt a lightness in his heart, a sense of connection not only to Violetta but to the very essence of Elysium. He looked at her, her face flushed with excitement, and felt a surge of gratitude for this unexpected gift. Thank you, he said, his voice soft but sincere. That was amazing. Violetta's eyes sparkled with warmth. I'm glad you enjoyed it. There's something special about dancing under the open sky, feeling the earth beneath your feet. It's a reminder that we're alive, that we're connected to something greater than ourselves. Connor nodded, feeling a deep resonance with her words. He realized that Violetta had shown him a different side of Elysium, a world of creativity, emotion, and beauty. It was a world that contrasted starkly with the structured, regulated life he had known on Earth and in space. Here he felt free, unburdened by the expectations and responsibilities that had defined his existence. As they sat down on one of the stone benches, Violetta began to share more about her life on Elysium. She spoke of her love for music and dance, the joy she found in creating art, and the deep satisfaction of sharing her talents with others. She told him about the festivals and celebrations that brought the village together, the vibrant colors and joyous sounds that filled the air. Connor listened, captivated by her stories. He was struck by the contrast between their lives, his, filled with constant movement and exploration, and hers, rooted in a deep sense of community and creativity. It was a stark reminder of the different paths they had taken, and yet there was a common thread that connected them: a desire to experience the world in all its richness and complexity. As the day turned to evening, Violetta suggested they return to the village. They walked back along the forest path, the setting sun casting long shadows across the ground. The air was cool, and the sound of the nocturnal creatures beginning to stir filled the forest. It was a peaceful, serene moment, and Connor found himself reflecting on the day's experiences. Back in the village, they were greeted by the warm glow of lanterns and the cheerful chatter of the villagers. Violetta invited Connor to join her for a meal, and they sat down with a group of women who welcomed him with open arms. The meal was a feast of local delicacies, each dish a testament to the planet's rich biodiversity. The conversation flowed easily, filled with laughter and stories. As the evening wore on, Connor felt a deep sense of contentment. He realized that for the first time in a long while he felt at home. The warmth and hospitality of the villagers, the beauty of the planet, and the connection he felt with Violetta all contributed to a growing sense of belonging. It was a feeling he hadn't expected to find on this remote planet, and it left him both hopeful and conflicted. After the meal, Violetta walked him back to his dwelling. They stood outside, the soft light of the lanterns casting a warm glow on their faces. There was a comfortable silence between them, a sense of understanding that didn't require words. "Thank you for today," Violetta, Connor said, his voice filled with gratitude. "You've shown me a side of Elysium I hadn't seen before. It's beautiful." Violetta smiled, her eyes shining with warmth. "I'm glad I could share it with you. Elysium has so much to offer, and I'm happy you could experience it. I hope you'll find what you're looking for, whether it's here or somewhere else." Connor nodded, feeling a mix of emotions. He knew he had to make a decision soon, but the choice was far from easy. The allure of Elysium, the connections he was forming, and the unique beauty of the planet were all compelling reasons to stay. Yet, the pull of his old life, the duty and responsibilities he felt, were equally strong. As he stood there, looking into Violetta's eyes, he felt a surge of emotion, a longing for something he couldn't quite define. It was more than just attraction, it was a deep connection, a shared understanding that transcended words. He realized that Violetta, with her passion and creativity, had touched something within him, a part of himself that he had long neglected. "Good night, Connor," Violetta said softly, breaking the silence. "Rest well. Tomorrow is a new day, and who knows what it will bring." Connor smiled, feeling a warmth in his chest. "Good night, Violetta. Thank you again." With a final smile, Violetta turned and walked away, leaving Connor standing in the soft glow of the lanterns. As he watched her disappear into the night, he felt a strange mix of sadness and hope. The day's events had left a lasting impression on him, and he knew that whatever decision he made, it would be shaped by the experiences he had on Elysium. He entered his dwelling and lay down, staring up at the ceiling. His mind was a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, but amidst the confusion, there was a growing sense of clarity. He knew that the days ahead would be crucial in determining his path, and he resolved to face them with an open heart and mind. As he closed his eyes, the image of Violetta dancing in the amphitheater filled his mind, a beautiful memory that brought a smile to his lips. He drifted off to sleep, dreaming of the possibilities that lay ahead, and the promise of a new dawn on the horizon. The village of Elysium woke to a vibrant dawn, the sky awash with hues of gold and lavender. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of blossoming flowers and the distant murmur of a waterfall. For Connor Walsh, this morning felt different from all the others. As he rose and looked out over the serene landscape, he felt a heavy weight settle on his shoulders. The time had come for him to make a decision that would shape the rest of his life. Connor had spent the past days immersed in the life of Elysium, forming deep connections with Azora, Violetta, and Emeralda. Each woman had shown him a different aspect of the planet and its people, revealing the depth and beauty of their world. Yet, with every moment of joy and discovery, the reality of his situation loomed ever larger. The culture of Elysium dictated that any visitor who wished to stay must embrace their traditions fully, including the creation of new life. It was a profound commitment, one that required both heart and soul. As Connor dressed and prepared for the day, his mind was a whirl of thoughts and emotions. He couldn't ignore the allure of returning to Earth, where his career as a pilot and his responsibilities awaited. Yet the peace and beauty of Elysium, and the deep bonds he had formed, made the choice far from simple. He knew he had to confront these feelings and make his decision with clarity and honesty. Determined to seek guidance, Connor made his way to the village's sacred grove, a place of reflection and meditation. The grove was a tranquil oasis, nestled at the edge of a serene lake. Ancient trees towered overhead, their leaves whispering in the gentle breeze. The ground was carpeted with soft moss and wildflowers, and the air was filled with the soothing sounds of nature. As Connor approached the grove, he saw Zora, Violetta, and Emeralda already gathered there. The sight of them brought a wave of emotion. These women had become his closest confidants and friends. They greeted him with warm smiles, their eyes reflecting the unspoken understanding of the day's significance. Connor, Zora began, her voice gentle yet firm. "We know that today is an important day for you. You've spent time with each of us, learning about our world and our way of life. Now, it's time for you to decide what you want for your future." Violetta stepped forward, her eyes filled with empathy. "We understand that this decision isn't easy. Whatever you choose, know that we care for you deeply and respect your journey. We've all come to cherish the time we've spent together." Emeralda, always the pillar of strength and wisdom, nodded in agreement. "This place, this life, it requires a commitment to our traditions and values. If you choose to stay, you will become a part of our community, and with that comes responsibilities and joys alike. But if your heart tells you to return to your world, we will support that decision too." Connor felt a lump in his throat as he looked at the three women before him. They were offering him their understanding and acceptance, regardless of his choice. It was a gift of unconditional love and respect, one that moved him deeply. Taking a deep breath, Connor walked to the edge of the lake and sat down on a large, flat rock. The water was calm, reflecting the soft colors of the morning sky. He closed his eyes and let the serenity of the place wash over him. Memories of his time on Elysium flooded his mind, the beauty of the landscapes, the warmth of the people, the deep conversations and shared laughter. And then there were the memories of Earth, of his life as a pilot, the stars he had navigated, and the endless horizons that had always called to him. But now, another horizon beckoned. The thought of building a life here, of starting a family with these remarkable women, stirred something deep within him. He felt a connection to Elysium, a sense of belonging that he had never experienced before. The planet had a way of grounding him, of making him feel a part of something greater. It was a life filled with purpose, love, and community. Connor opened his eyes and looked at the women. He knew what he had to do. Rising to his feet, he walked back to them, feeling a mix of anticipation and resolve. The time for introspection was over. It was time to speak his truth. "I've thought a lot about my life, both here and back on Earth," Connor began, his voice steady. "The time I've spent on Elysium has been extraordinary. I've learned so much from each of you, and I've come to love this place and its people. The thought of leaving it all behind, it's not something I want to do." Zora, Violetta, and Emeralda listened intently, their expressions a mixture of hope and understanding. "I want to stay," Connor continued, his voice growing more confident. "I want to be a part of this community, to embrace its traditions and build a life here. I know it won't be easy, and I understand the commitment it entails, but I'm ready. I want to start a family, to contribute to this beautiful world, and to share my life with all of you." There was a moment of silence, a breathless pause as the weight of his words settled in. Then, as if on cue, the three women smiled, their eyes glistening with emotion. Zora stepped forward and placed a hand on Connor's arm, her touch gentle and reassuring. "Connor," she said softly, "we're honored by your decision. You've shown great courage and heart in choosing to stay with us. We welcome you as one of our own, and we're excited to build a future together." Violetta wrapped her arms around him in a warm embrace, her voice filled with joy. We're so happy you've chosen to be with us. There's so much to look forward to, so many adventures and moments to share." Emeralda placed a hand on his shoulder, her gaze steady and sincere. "This is a new beginning for all of us. We'll face the challenges and joys together, as a family. Welcome to your new home, Connor." The four of them stood together, a sense of unity and purpose enveloping them. The decision had been made, and with it came a profound sense of peace. Connor felt a deep connection to these women, a bond that transcended the boundaries of their different worlds. They were a family now, bound by love and mutual respect. As they stood by the lake, the morning sun rose higher in the sky, casting a warm glow over the landscape. The village, with its fields and forests, seemed to come alive with the promise of a new day. It was a moment of pure joy and hope, a celebration of the life they were about to build together. The rest of the day was filled with preparations and celebrations. The villagers gathered to welcome Connor as a full member of their community. There was music, dancing, and feasting, a joyous occasion that brought everyone together. Connor felt overwhelmed by the warmth and acceptance he received. The people of Elysium welcomed him with open arms, embracing him as one of their own. As the sun set, casting a golden light over the village, Connor found himself standing on the same hilltop where he had watched the sunset with Emeralda. The view was breathtaking, the fields and forests bathed in the soft glow of twilight. He felt a deep sense of contentment, a certainty that he had made the right choice. Emeralda joined him, her presence a comforting reminder of the strength and wisdom she embodied. She stood beside him, looking out over the landscape. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" she said, her voice a soft murmur. "This world, this life we've created. It's something worth protecting, worth cherishing." Connor nodded, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "It is," he agreed. "I've seen so many worlds, traveled to so many places, but none of them have felt like this. None of them have felt like home." Emeralda turned to him, her expression serious but warm. "You are home, Connor. This is your home now, and we are your family. We'll face whatever comes together, as one." Connor felt a lump in his throat, moved by her words. He reached out and took her hand, feeling a surge of emotion. "Thank you, Emeralda, for everything. I'm ready to start this new chapter, to build a life here with all of you." They stood together, watching as the stars began to appear in the darkening sky. It was a moment of quiet reflection, a pause before the journey ahead. Connor knew that there would be challenges, that the path they had chosen was not an easy one. But he also knew that they would face it together, as a family. As the night deepened, the village settled into a peaceful calm. Connor felt a deep sense of belonging, a connection to the land and its people. He knew that his decision to stay on Elysium was the right one, that it was a choice guided by love and a desire for a meaningful life. He was ready to embrace the future, to build a family and a home in this beautiful, extraordinary world. And so under the canopy of stars, Connor Walsh made a silent promise to himself and his new family. He would cherish this new life, honor the traditions of Elysium, and love the people who had welcomed him with open hearts. It was a promise of commitment and love, a vow to protect and nurture the life they were about to create together. As the first stars twinkled in the night sky, Connor felt a sense of peace and purpose settle over him. The choice had been made, the journey begun. And with it came the promise of a new dawn, a new horizon filled with endless possibilities. The days following Connor's decision to stay on Elysium were filled with anticipation and excitement. The village buzzed with activity as the community prepared to welcome a new chapter in their lives. Connor, now fully integrated into the village, felt a profound sense of belonging. The bonds he had formed with Azora, Violeta, and Emeralda deepened, evolving into a complex and beautiful tapestry of love and commitment. As they embarked on this new journey together, the promise of building a family became a central focus, a future intertwined with hope and joy. The concept of family on Elysium was unique. It was not bound by conventional norms but rather by the principles of love, respect, and unity. The planet's traditions encouraged a communal approach to parenting and life, where every child was cherished by the entire community. Connor found this deeply inspiring and comforting, a stark contrast to the often isolating nature of his previous life. The first signs of this new life emerged when Emeralda became pregnant. The news was met with joy and celebration throughout the village. It was a momentous occasion, not only for Connor and Emeralda, but for the entire community. The villagers gathered in the central square, where a grand feast was prepared to honor the occasion. The air was filled with laughter and music, a testament to the collective happiness of the people. Connor stood beside Emeralda, his heart swelling with pride and joy. Her presence was radiant, her hand resting gently on her growing belly. The weight of the responsibility they were about to undertake was palpable, but it was accompanied by an overwhelming sense of purpose and love. "We're going to be parents," Emeralda whispered, her eyes shining with excitement. "Can you believe it?" Connor smiled, wrapping his arm around her shoulders. "It's incredible," he replied, his voice filled with wonder. "I've always dreamed of having a family, but I never imagined it would be here, on this beautiful planet, with you." Emeralda leaned into him, her expression softening. "I'm glad it's with you, Connor. I couldn't imagine a better partner to share this journey with." As the celebration continued, Connor couldn't help but feel a deep gratitude for the life he had chosen. The villagers' support and acceptance had made the transition seamless, and the love he felt for Emeralda, Azora, and Violetta was unlike anything he had ever experienced. It was a love that transcended the ordinary, a bond that was both profound and sacred. The weeks turned into months, and the pregnancy progressed smoothly. The village rallied around Emeralda, providing her with support and care. Connor, too, found his place within the community. He began working as a pilot for the planet's military, a role that allowed him to utilize his skills while also contributing to the safety and well-being of the community. The military on Elysium was more of a protective force, dedicated to preserving the peace and security of the planet. It was a role that suited Connor well, giving him a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Azora and Violetta were also by Emeralda's side, offering their love and support. The three women shared a close bond, a sisterhood that was both comforting and empowering. They often spent their evenings together, discussing the future and the dreams they held for their children. Connor felt privileged to be a part of this intimate circle, a witness to the beauty of their connection. One evening, as they sat together by the fire, Violetta began to sing a soft, melodic tune. Her voice was soothing, filling the air with a sense of peace. Connor watched her, captivated by the emotion in her voice. Azora joined in, harmonizing beautifully, her voice a perfect complement to Violetta's. Emeralda, too, hummed along, her hand resting on her belly. The moment was magical, a celebration of the life they were creating together. As the song ended, Azora looked at Connor, her eyes filled with warmth. "Connor, have you thought about names for our children?" she asked, her tone playful. "It's never too early to start thinking." Connor chuckled, feeling a rush of excitement. "I've been thinking about it," he admitted, "but I want it to be a decision we make together, something that reflects the beauty and uniqueness of this place and our family." The women smiled, their expressions thoughtful. It was a conversation they would revisit many times, each suggestion bringing them closer to a decision that felt right. As the days passed, Connor and the women continued to prepare for the arrival of their child. The villagers helped them build a beautiful home, nestled in a quiet, secluded area near the edge of the forest. The house was a masterpiece of natural architecture, crafted from the planet's abundant resources. It was spacious and filled with light, with large windows that offered stunning views of the surrounding landscape. The interior was decorated with vibrant colors and handcrafted furnishings reflecting the rich culture and artistry of Elysium. The nursery was a special project, a labor of love for the entire family. The walls were painted with scenes of the planet's flora and fauna, a colorful mural that brought the beauty of the outside world into the room. Azora, with her deep knowledge of the planet's nature, had carefully selected plants and flowers to fill the space, creating a serene and nurturing environment. Violetta contributed her artistic talents, adding delicate touches to the mural and creating handmade toys and decorations. Emeralda, with her strong and steady presence, ensured that everything was perfect and ready for the new arrival. As the birth approached, the village prepared for the ceremony that would welcome the new life into their community. It was a tradition steeped in symbolism and significance, a rite of passage that honored the child and the family. The ceremony was to be held at the heart of Elysium, the open-air amphitheater that Violetta had shown Connor during their time together. It was a place of great spiritual importance, where the community gathered to celebrate significant events and milestones. On the day of the ceremony, the village was alive with anticipation. The amphitheater was decorated with flowers and lanterns, creating a festive and welcoming atmosphere. The villagers arrived in their finest attire, their faces filled with excitement and joy. Connor, dressed in traditional Elysium clothing, stood with Azora, Violetta, and Emeralda, feeling a mix of nerves and happiness. The ceremony began with a procession led by the village elders, who carried a beautifully woven basket filled with offerings for the child. The elders were followed by musicians, playing a hauntingly beautiful melody on traditional instruments. The air was filled with the soft, harmonious notes, creating a sense of reverence and wonder. As they reached the center of the amphitheater, the music stopped, and a hush fell over the crowd. The village elder, a wise and respected woman named Lyra, stepped forward and addressed the gathering. "Today we gather to welcome a new life into our community," Lyra began, her voice clear and strong. "A child born of love and unity, a symbol of hope and new beginnings. We honor this child and the family that has chosen to bring them into our world. Let us offer our blessings and support as we welcome them into the embrace of Elysium." With that, Emeralda stepped forward, her face glowing with pride and joy. In her arms she held their newborn son, wrapped in a soft, woven blanket. The baby was serene, his tiny eyes taking in the world around him. The sight of their child filled Connor with a profound sense of awe and love. It was a moment of pure joy, a culmination of their journey together. Lyra approached them, placing her hands gently on the baby's head. "What name have you chosen for this child?" she asked, her voice filled with warmth. Emeralda looked at Connor, her eyes shining with emotion. "We have chosen the name Orion," she replied, her voice steady. "A name that symbolizes strength, courage, and the boundless sky. May he grow to embody these qualities and bring light to our world." Lyra smiled, her expression one of approval. "Orion, a name that honors the stars and the heavens. A fitting name for a child born of love and unity. May he be blessed with wisdom, strength, and a compassionate heart." The villagers responded with a resounding cheer, their voices filled with joy and celebration. The musicians resumed their melody, and the air was filled with the sounds of laughter and song. It was a moment of pure happiness, a celebration of life and love. As the ceremony continued, Connor felt a deep sense of peace and fulfillment. The journey had been long and challenging, but it had led him to this beautiful moment. He looked at Emeralda, Azora, and Violetta, feeling a profound love and gratitude for each of them. They had become his family, his home, and he couldn't imagine a life without them. As the festivities wound down and the villagers began to disperse, Connor found himself standing with Azora and Violetta. The night was cool, the stars shining brightly in the sky. They stood in silence for a moment, taking in the beauty of the night. "We did it," Azora said softly, her voice filled with wonder. "We've brought a new life into this world, and with it, a new beginning." Violetta nodded, her expression serene. "Orion is a gift, a symbol of the love and unity we share. He's the beginning of something beautiful, something greater than ourselves." Connor smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "He's perfect," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "And I'm so grateful to be here, to share this with all of you." As they stood together, watching the stars twinkle in the night sky, Connor felt a sense of hope and promise. The future was filled with possibilities, a new horizon. The days that followed were filled with joy and wonder as they settled into their new roles as parents. Orion quickly became the center of their world, a constant source of love and happiness. The village embraced him as their own, showering him with affection and care. Connor found himself deeply moved by. As time passed, Azora and Violetta also became pregnant, further expanding their family. The news was met with excitement and joy, and the village once again came together to celebrate. Azora gave birth. As the years passed, the family continued to grow and evolve. The children grew up surrounded by love and support nurtured by. Connor's role in the community also grew. His experience as a pilot made him a valuable asset to the planet's military, and he quickly became a respected leader. He worked closely with Emeralda and other members of the community too. As the children grew, they developed their unique talents and interests. Orion with his inquisitive nature and strong sense. The family cherished the moments they spent together, whether it was working in the garden, exploring the forests, or... As the years went by, the family faced challenges and hardships as all families do, but they faced them together, drawing strength from there. Connor often reflected on his journey, the choices he had made, and the life he had built on. As the children grew into adulthood, they began to forge their paths, exploring their interests and contributing to the community. They carried the values. The family continued to grow and evolve, welcoming new members and celebrating the milestones of. As the sun set on another day in Elysium, Connor stood on the hill overlooking the village, the same hill where he had made the decision to stay. The sky was a canvas of colors, a breathtaking display of nature's beauty. He felt a deep sense of. He looked out over the village, the fields, and the forests, feeling a profound connection to the land and the people. He thought of the journey that had brought him here, the challenges he had faced, and the love he had found. It was a journey that. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Connor felt a sense of hope and promise. The future was bright, filled with endless possibilities. He knew that whatever challenges lay. And so, as the night settled over Elysium, Connor stood with his family.